Hello. So we've got this big moon event. So I thought we'd do a reading. We've got 4 choices. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and pick 4. Here's pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and pick 4. Pause if you need more time. Use your own intuition to decide. If one or more of these has a message for you regarding information to reflect on during this time of the moon that we're having. Now, I've just gone for a lovely walk on my property, did a little bit of yard work, and I have a lot of deer traffic on my property, and it just makes me feel so happy and honored, you know? Like, I love that deer feel safe passing through. And I just love this time of year. It's so beautiful, wonderful. I feel refreshed just after going outside for a little bit. So I just want to say, if you haven't been outside, even if you live in the city, find a tree to hug, get your feet on the earth, do what you can to mingle with nature today or as soon as possible. Because this moon is in Taurus, it's very earthy, grounded, and I think being in touch with the earth in that way, being grounded, is going to be very beneficial to us all. Okay? In case you don't know, this sculpture here is the violet flame. So if you're interested in the violet flame energy, do some research, because I've been using it for years. You can initiate yourself into the use of the energy if it calls to you. And it's a transmutation energy. So helpful, so beautiful. And we're going to get started with pick number 1. I'm not going to burn these candles while I do the reading. I'm kind of saving my candles. It costs me a lot more to make these now. So I'm not burning them as often. Just saving them for more special occasion, I guess. Not that the moon isn't a special occasion. Not that every day isn't a special occasion. First thing I'm doing is digging for my astro dice. We're going to start the reading with the astro dice. What's going on for pick 1 at this time? Neptune square, first house, Mercury, Pisces, 5th house. Something to communicate about. Maybe a very spiritual topic. Maybe you feel like your intuition is blocked. Maybe you feel like you want to express yourself on spiritual topics, and you might feel like there's some pushback or tension regarding that. Let me look closer at this. What is this? Yeah, this is a first house. Okay. I was thinking, is this 11th house? It could be 11th house, huh? It absolutely could be 11th house. So this actual, the tension could be within your friendships. And it could be that your dreams are kind of being reborn into something different. And it has to do with communication, your intellect, how you feel, how you think. Not so much how you feel, but how you think. Maybe how you think about humanity on a whole. About self-expression, love, romance, children. What they mean to you. What they open you to. I don't know if you can hear the background, but there's children playing next door. I just love the sound, you know, of children playing. And that brings me to this 5th house energy, which is self-expression and children playing. And, oh, I've got UPS coming into the driveway, delivering car parts. So if you're one of those people who saw that reading where I cleared the energy on any trauma I had regarding having work done on my car, it's happening. It's almost done, and I'm pretty excited about it. So let me just be right back. Okay, great. So maybe you too are getting kind of good news and things coming through for you, and maybe that's inspiring you to share about what methods you use to make that happen for yourself. You know, it might have everything to do with how the story you've been telling, you know? So let's see what else. Let's see what else the cards have to reveal. Actually, I want to take from the Oracle bucket, which is right here, but I'm going to reach in over here off camera, and I'll put them on the screen as I pull them out. Tell us about the energy of pick one. And I've also got a bunch of pre-dealt Oracle cards here that we'll look at in a minute. You're embodying the higher version of yourself. This might be a real shock for other people, for them to kind of see changes in you, right? Because maybe it's something that feels really natural for you. It's been happening over a period of time. But for others, you know that they're not all of them are going to get it, maybe. That's just something you're aware of. Not necessarily, excuse me, that you are upset about or anything. But you know that it is something that's going to have to be traversed. What do we got here? Past life connection. So you're picking up where you left off in a past life. You've been working on this for about a year. Part of the thing that you had to do in order to facilitate this in your life is love yourself. Put all your focus on loving yourself, and everything that you are and everything that you realized about yourself as a being born into the home that you were born into the ancestry. In fact, I think that you've been cleaning up an ancestral karma from past lives. You are the one who, we could, you know, you've seen it called cycle breaker, but you are the one who's gonna break this this out of your family, not because you've done it alone, but because it just fell. It's like all the work everyone did prior came to the culmination of now. Oh, that's funny. It says not now. I mean, okay then. I stand corrected. So this is still in process, apparently. Wow, look at all this high vibe energy for you. Okay, I just gotta say, Starseed, Earth Angel, Walk-In, you have a high calling here on Earth, and you've been working towards it. You've been learning what you needed to learn in order to prepare you for what comes next. You are willing to reflect on all of this information because you know what to do with it. There's sort of going to be a reset for you in your energy coming up here. We're an even bigger vision, more awareness. Because it's the time, not now, but soon. If you have a birthday coming up, that's when. Human design. So if you haven't looked into human design, it's a way that we can look at how energy works within humans. And reflector is one of the ways that energy works. And reflectors basically just reflect people back to themselves. And they kind of take in their surroundings to a very deep level. And it can be difficult for them to know who they are because of this, but of course they eventually get there because they have really no other choice than to start to know themselves through the differentiation between what they're reflecting back to others and what is really true for them. We've got reconciliation. Conjunction. So there may be a coming back together. It could be with somebody from a past life, or it could be with people in your life, friendships that were left behind when you entered into your spiritual journey. Yeah. These changes in your situation may invoke some to be envious because they don't understand that a better use of their energy would be focused on their own abilities and greatness instead of thinking about how somebody else is. Like, that's what envy is when someone doesn't believe that they can do it themselves, which everybody can do it themselves. They just sometimes stall by using envy, but it's a very dark, heavy energy for them. But you'll be completely above that. So you'll just feel that like, oh, this person and I don't resonate anymore. There may be people from your past trying to reconcile with you because they see you moving on to something and they want a piece of it, or they want to be a part of it, or they don't want to be left behind. But that's going to be pretty easy to know who deserves to be in your life and who doesn't, right? It's like, well, I used to have this thing I would say. Actually, I think it's a Marilyn Monroe quote, but I might have said it a different way. But I'm just going to say it, I think, from the meme that I saw about Marilyn Monroe, which is like, if you can't accept me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. And that's the kind of thing that I kind of feel about this. It's like, well, people who try to kind of come back, putting a nice face on after they didn't support you through whatever you were going through, you'll know whether that is something you want to entertain or not. You certainly don't have an obligation, but it you know, also, like, I don't think you're the kind of person who would hold a grudge. But it's just like, it depends on what you've been through, right? Like, for me, it would have been hard for anyone to hang. But I'm not going to be able to relate to people who didn't do their own shadow work. You know what I mean? So it would be hard for me to kind of go there with certain people who hadn't kind of gone through what I've been through in as far as like expanding their spiritual awareness, because I've certainly dropped breadcrumbs. I've certainly been open to friendships that didn't choose me. So, interesting thing we're contemplating here. I kind of wonder if we're going to be advised on this more, or if it's just kind of a thing that's like, let it go. It's not the highlight of this reading. It's just like, yeah, that's going to happen. Yes, you'll be able to handle it because it's very obvious that you will be able to see what to do. You know, look at this high vibe energy. You know who you are. You know what to do. You've prepared for this. And I feel like any rise to the top is going to attract like some haters, you know what I mean? And that's unfortunate, but it's because of the way energy works and because people are in the awareness that they can do this for themselves. Like one time my guides woke me up with the song Shine Bright Like a Diamond by Beyonce, I think. Or Rihanna? Beyonce? I think it's Beyonce. It was in my head, and I don't necessarily like know that song or listen to Beyonce or anything, so I looked it up and listened to it, and I was kind of like annoyed by how many times she repeated that line, shine bright like a diamond, over and over and over. That song says it. But I was just like, okay, you know, what is this, like an encouragement from my guides, or you know, and or my highest self? And then I noticed that it had like 8 million likes and like a couple 100,000 dislikes on the song on YouTube, right? And I was just realizing that as likable as this song was for so many people, there's plenty of people who didn't like it too, you know? Even I didn't love it. Like I liked the chorus enough to say maybe twice or something, you know what I mean? Like, so I kind of want to say it's just part of it, you know? It's just part of it. And these people who dislike your success, it's like helpful to them, right? Because maybe it motivates them to have their own success, or it motivates them to act in such a way that they reveal themselves as shady or not who they say they are, or it reveals them as longing for something more within their own selves, you know, by having an example of something that they wish that they had but think that they can't have. It's one step closer to the asking the question, well, can I have that? And when they ask, the answer of course is going to be, you can have your version of that. Yes. And then they're one step closer to achieving it for themselves. So we kind of have to rise up amongst people who don't support us. It just is the way it is. Okay? So obviously this is a testament to your strength. The path has not been easy, and that doesn't really matter because I'm sure you find it worth it. And you're also stepping into the unknown where limitless possibilities exist because we've got this Sphinx, you know, that's mystery. But you're going forward lovingly because Neptune is the higher version of Venus. I mean, of Venus energy. And it's a unconditional love. And plus you have Venus here, and this Taurus moon is ruled by Venus. So it's very significant for you. And obviously you don't get to this level without incorporating love into all the aspects of you and your intentions. Right? Like, you didn't get here with envy. Okay. Let's see what else. I was going to do some other blocks, but I kind of feel like we have enough cards and stuff. So, just so I don't get too messy, I'm going to put these over here in case we need to reference them again. I'm mostly just going to start flipping cards here. Taxes, separate bank accounts. So these might be things that you have to concern yourself with. This is perhaps some of the concerns that come to the forefront as you go forward, perhaps into a more financially stable time. Communicate openly. So when people do try to come back from your past, you have every right to express who you are, how you are. We trust that you're going to do this lovingly. Perhaps you even inspire them to set forth on their journey toward their own achievements rather than to stay in envy. Like, imagine that. Someone comes to you secretly envious and you alchemize that for them just with a conversation. You know what I mean? Like, that's earth angel stuff. And that's what you can do. And it's funny because, like, I just have this feeling like that's what God does, right? Like, God sends angels into dark places. God says, these are the people who need you most, okay? These people are suffering. These people don't know what they're capable of. Show them. Show them an example. Yes, some of them are going to throw rocks at you. I know you're strong enough. Okay? You are having lots of dreams and visions that are helping to guide you forward. Laughter is a wonderful medicine, something that you're indulging in a lot. Me too, me too. You're taking it easy, like resting as needed, right? Because these are big kind of upgrades that are happening right now. Even if you've done the majority of your shadow work and you're just doing a little bit here and there as it arises, real time. Still, there's an upgrade to your body. Your vessel is coming with you for this this ascension, if you want to call it that, and that is going to take some time for your body to adjust. So there has to be a real, like, being gentle with yourself as much as you would with others. Yeah, we've got soft. Yes, exactly. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I think that you very well know how soft and beautiful your heart is, and it's like things like these taxes and stuff, that's probably not your favorite thing to have to deal with, but it is like a practical thing about being on Earth that will have to be dealt with. So it's just mentioning that because you got this kind of other side done, Social media is coming in reverse, so you may want to take a break from social media if it's feeling like a burden. Now we have failure to communicate. Now maybe we've got communicate openly here. We started the reading by talking about communicating, and it might be difficult. And now we've got failure to communicate with social media in the reverse. So maybe there is something that needs to be communicated very softly on social media. So let's look at that more deeply if the answers don't come, okay? You are in the process of continuously letting go of egoic coping structures, meaning where you have developed coping mechanisms to survive and to cope with avoiding pain, fitting in, avoiding being confused, being liked, living up to expectations. Those are all being let go of as they come to your awareness. We got angels are with you. Build something. You may be inspired to build something. If you've already been building something, keep with it. If you have a question, we're going to answer it. So you can think of your question. We'll answer it in a moment. You're just coming into full respect for yourself. Make sure your standards of however you're operating include self-respect. So this might be something that's being brought to your attention with regards to anyone returning from your past that may not have the best intentions. We've got the Sun in reverse, Three of Swords in reverse, Queen of Swords, and the King of Pentacles in reverse. at a time when you weren't in your highest power, when you weren't full of self-respect, and you got your heart broken, it may have been more difficult to stick up for yourself, right? And tell us about this. I think that it'll be hard for you to say goodbye to people from the past when they come back, but that you should take solace in the fact that you can have a conversation with somebody and build them a bridge, build them a friggin' bridge out of their misery, out of their shadow, out of their hell, you know, whatever loops they're stuck in. You can see them, you know, because you've taken yourself out of them. And when these people come back to you, I want to say in a duplicitous way, and you can see that, I know it's not going to offend you. I know that you're not going to feel a way about it. I know that you're going to understand that this is what people do when they're in that view. But you have such honor here bestowed by God that you could build them a rainbow bridge. A rainbow bridge is going to get them out of the lower densities into the higher way of seeing something, so that they could find their way out too. You won't lose anything by doing so. It's simply like before you're parting ways, you have a conversation that offers a lifeline to somebody who may be struggling and who may think that the way out is by holding on to your coattails, but actually give them something better than your coattails. You're giving them something better than your coattails. Take a chance on it. Wow. So in actuality, this reading is about the difficult people. They are too proud, you know, in a way. Like their pride, their coping mechanism, their ego, keeps them from coming to you and asking outright, right? They're not the type of people who are going to come have a session to talk about it. They're not the type of people who are going to say, how did you get out of this difficult situation you were in? Or how did you let that go? Or how did you rise above that? The people that are going to come to you are going to be people who aren't able to ask for help. They're sneaky. They are underhanded. They're manipulative. That's how they know how to communicate. That's what they learn to survive. You have probably been prepared for this by being born into a family where you experienced that, or had friends, so-called friends that you experienced that with, or had relationships or schoolmates or work environment where you experienced these type of relating dynamics. I'm sure that God isn't sending you into this situation without knowing that you can handle this, okay? You'll see it for what it is. So you won't be pulled into it. You won't be taking it personal. And you're on the high road, you know what I mean? Like, all you're doing is showing them the bridge to the high road. And you're doing it because you can. Because it doesn't hurt you. Even if they're trying to hurt you, even if what they're doing is hurtful to do to another human being, it doesn't matter because it can't hurt you. What you're doing is helping them exalt their own karma. You're saying, look, da 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 da, whatever it is, that builds the bridge for them. You're not reprimanding them about their tactics or, maybe you have to expose somebody so they'll know that the bridge is the only way to go. I don't know. But I think that your heart is going to be involved and that you have had your heart broken and you don't want to do that to other people. I think you're acting as an earth angel, and I don't think that means you're above exposing people's shadows if needed, but I do think that you will take the kindest route, whatever that is. Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. Pick one. That was beautiful. And also, meanwhile, keep track of your day-to-day stuff, Rest when needed, work when needed, and just keep track of your daily life and your health. Make sure you're having everything you need, that you're ready when it's time to do this, Maybe... Yeah, that's all I want to say about it. Okay. Wow. 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 All right. So I'm going to take a break and we're going to do pick two probably tomorrow, but you won't know that. But here's the end of your reading, pick one. Thank you. I honor you. Appreciate your presence on Earth at this time. Hi, pick two. So it's been a day since... Let me turn this light on. I guess it doesn't really make much difference. It's been a day since I recorded pick one, and I don't usually do this. I don't usually take time in between. But I must say, seems like the way to go. Just kind of keep it set up on my desk and do it when I feel refreshed in between each pile. Ooh, that feels good coming at your pile, right? And I also got the phrase in my head before I began, which might be something that resonates with you. Work smarter, not harder. Because I feel like that's what I've done here to begin your pile. I usually push myself through all of the picks. I wasn't really feeling it, but I was called to do the reading yesterday and decided to just record the first pile. Here I am back. Let's begin with your pile. You chose the yellow candle. And this is your reading. Let's see how this eclipse is treating you. Pick two. We've got the Ten of Swords in reverse. The Five of Pentacles. You're walking away from something very burdensome. You don't know where you're going, right? It's required a leap of faith. You're beginning something, and maybe you do know where you're going in a general gist, but you don't know exactly how it's going to work out. Maybe you've even had to exit what you left behind very strategically. I think you had to use your wits about you. You might be going towards something that's nostalgic, something that meant something to you in the past. Or what you left behind was something that once meant a lot to you. Or that may still even mean a lot to you, but you found out the truth about something where it wasn't what you thought it was, or you outgrew it. Now, I know it sounds like, oh, I can't make up my mind, but I think just take what resonates for you, right? Like I'm telling a story. Take the bits of the story that resonate for you, because there'll be different people, different scenarios drawn to this pile. And sometimes we have to talk in that vague kind of way to get the message across, right? So we'll get to the ultimate message, but this is just so that you can recognize yourself in this pick. So I'm drawn to also say, so if you don't recognize yourself, and it could be for someone you know, right? Like it could be you're being shown the experience of someone you know. And that would be someone significant to you if that was the case. But let's go back to speaking to you as if this is you. Maybe you felt wounded by the experience that you went through. You felt like you had to defend yourself. And you're just ready for it to be a lot easier. You're ready to jump into something that feels a lot more bright, potential for growth, something where you can bloom. I think you'll defend yourself as needed, but I don't think you will need to as you go forward. There's much more receptivity where you're headed, right? Like here, the vast openness is ready to receive you, and here, this rabbit here is ready to receive this gift of the flowers. And see over here, this rabbit has got these people's back. Like you're protected. You don't have to worry about that same old thing happening anymore. You already know that. It's in the back of your mind as an experience that you've integrated, that you've healed from, and you don't have to continue living out. You learned what your soul came to learn about it. And I think what it was is like a structure that's been existing on Earth for a long time. It was held up by a lot of things. Maybe things that were taught to you in your environment, ways that you had to cope with what the reality was, ways that people taught you to cope, what you believed about life or what was shown to you about life, or what people led you to believe. You could have been misled as well. There could have been manipulation tactics and all of that. Like, I just got the vision of like the time when I realized about, I'm just going to say it, I don't use this terminology anymore, but when I realized about narcissists, when I realized that some people coped in a way where they did not include their emotions or their heart, and they did not care about feelings. I was pretty shocked, I gotta say, and that might sound like silly to somebody who has known this all their life, but I didn't, because one of my coping mechanisms was rose-colored glasses, because I grew up in it, and in order to survive growing up in it, one of the coping mechanisms you can choose is to pretend that the people that you depend on for your nourishment and survival are not abusive. So when I woke up to it, it was like, whoa, and I'm just kind of getting that, like it's like, whoa, and then it's like sad, and then it's like, I gotta go because this doesn't work for me anymore, and then it's like, oh, they're all kind of not supporting me anymore, and I've got to be strategic because they could tear me down, because now I see what they're really capable of. Like when I left a relationship that was like that, I knew that my reputation would be tarnished amongst the community of peers that we had established together, because I knew that that was a tactic that was going to be used. I knew that power was the currency in his life, and I knew that the only power he had over me was to tarnish my reputation. And I just didn't have it in me, and I also didn't see the benefit of trying to defend myself. I just chose, like, I'll walk away, because, like, whatever, like, that seems like too much work. That seems like drama. The truth comes out in the end, even if it takes 5-10 years, even if no one cares about the truth by the time it comes out. For me, I knew my truth, and that had to be what I went with, and That's kind of like what you're doing here, because you're just going with what you know is true now. Okay. As you face challenges, I think you're prepared to traverse them. Because I feel like, I don't think it's rose-colored glasses necessarily, but your eye is on the prize, right? Like, you know you're headed towards a match with your own heart, like a life that is worthy of you, a life that you're worthy of, a life that you will create due to who you are in your heart. Okay. Yeah, we've got more. The Archangel Michael deck is showing you the guarded and protected card. So you may show gratitude for the protection that you have, for this experience that you've had, that you know how to handle yourself, you know what's important to you. You know what made you susceptible to living the way that you were living, that you've outgrown. Sorry about the squeaking in my chair. I just got out of the shower, so my body's a little wet and it's like pushing against the cushion. If you have a question, we're going to get the answer to a question here in a moment. You can think of a question. I think part of what drives you is memory lane. Like, maybe you're going back and collecting memories from a different perspective. From, like, it's like, oh, if I knew this then, how would that have gone? If I knew back then what I know now, then, you know, or what was that trying to show me now that I understand, right? It's kind of like that. Like, there was a point in my journey for sure where I had to go, okay, well, now that I understand the bigger picture, what was that? Oh, I see. And a lot of it was just like, oh, I realized Spirit was leading me into dark places, not only for my benefit so that I could figure out who I am in comparison, but so that they could figure out who they are in comparison. So that they could have a light shined on to them just as much as I had a light shined on to me. So it wasn't like I'm a victim to this experience. It was like, okay, what was this actually teaching me? And what was the purpose of learning that? You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like, collect all the gold from the experiences, even when they weren't exactly pleasant, even when they hurt, even then when they were challenging, even when it felt like they threatened your life. I definitely, can relate to that energy, like, because I had let myself get drained to the point where it was like I don't even have enough energy to care for myself because I put everything into this other person. And it was mostly energetically. So I had to pull it all back and recover myself over time. So it might feel like you had been drained by a long journey of having to endure very difficult things. So this is saying you can go slow and lead with your heart. And we talked about that too. Interesting how these cards are supporting exactly what the tarot said. But this is also saying you can go slow, right? Like, when you make these decisions, don't feel like you have to hastily do it. Like, when your heart says jump, that's when you jump. But other than that, you can just take it slow and make sure you're gathering all those gold nuggets before you go. Because you don't want to find yourself on a different level and then just be like, oh, well, there was more gold that I need that golden nugget of wisdom in order to help me here. So, you know what I mean? It's like, before you level up, take what you learned from the level you're on. So there's more to realize about this whole situation still, right? There's an even bigger picture view that's still being revealed to you that's why you're going slow. And maybe there's a lot in society that says you can't go slow, that, you know, you've got to have action, especially if you are used to acting in that masculine energy, which is like about taking action. It might feel wrong, so there might be some things to clean up and be with yourself about during the transition of like going into like slowing down and staying open-minded. So it's like whatever you're shown is something that you wouldn't have seen if you were acting in your prescribed manner, right? So I think this is something that you're very good at. You are open-minded. And coupled with this, it's just saying slow down so that that open mind can pick up more. And the correct things when it's directed by your heart. Because your mind can get you lost in stories, but your heart will put you back on track. If you let your mind rest and then let what your heart wants to focus on rise up, that's worthy of your focus. So giving or receiving money, a pay rise, obtaining resources. So you are in the process of recovering from a difficult situation. So your resources are very important. And this isn't just money resources. This is like how well you're nourishing your body. Are you hydrating? And as I say that, I'm looking at my bottle of water and feeling how dry my mouth is and saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to hydrate too. Like, we need a lot of hydration at this time. I can hear someone repeatedly messaging me. And it's probably one of my children, so I'm just going to be right back. Very interesting. So that interruption was definitely part of the reading. And what it was is that my children were actually talking to themselves, to each other, in a little chat that I'm in a group with. So it wasn't even for me. They did not need me. And I responded to the external dinging of the messenger, right? Instead of tuning into myself and being open-minded about what it could mean, I just acted on it because it's my habit to respond to that ding, right? To check my phone. So I think that's an example of how you could really like save yourself some steps and some distractions by just slowing down and tuning in to your own impulse and your own heart. Because literally I knew that they opened that group chat. It's not always open, but I knew they opened it today because I saw it earlier. And if I had kind of slowed down and tuned in, I could have remembered that that was actually what it could be, right? So, okay. Let's go to the next card and see what else. Maybe I'll talk more about that giving or receiving money. We were just saying that your resources, okay, so see, I spent some of my resources on that task that was not necessary, right? I mean, yes, and like it's not that big of a deal to get up and check my phone, right? But this is an example, is the way, is part of the reading. It's like all of these little things can add up. So this is why we're just gonna kind of slow down, okay? There is plenty. You're abundant. As long as you have that open heart. So this is recognition of your energy as a wise, confident, kind, open-hearted, abundant person. So you can afford to be in this slowed down, open-hearted place. This is where all your treasure is, right? This is where your wise guide is. This is from the What Needs to Be Said deck, and we've got Don't Give Up. It might feel like you've been on this journey too long, you've used too many of your resources, it's taking too long, you've gone down the wrong path, and now it's taking a lot of energy to get back. Don't give up, okay? This is you've got your eye on the prize. You know you are getting there. It just takes steps. Like, this is one of those things where you know where you're going. You know you're going to get there. It's just going to take some steps. It's like in my healing journey, I was shown how, sure, I'm getting there, but I need to make sure I take the steps that my body needs to replenish itself along the way, right? You don't want to get there all run down. You don't want to get there completely depleted. There's no rush here. There's step-by-step process, which is the healthiest way, which might not look like what society or others expect of you, or the old you expected. When something does serve to offer you an opportunity, it's okay to go forward into that opportunity if it feels right to you. If it goes along with what you believe is true and right for you from your heart. See this? If it lights up your heart, it's like, yes, assert yourself there in those places where your heart feels lit up. Not in the battles, right? What you're working towards is your dreams coming true. So you may have had dreams showing you what you're headed towards. And if you think, oh, it's just a dream, it's like, no, you can invest in this. And maybe it's actually your dreams that you've developed in consciousness, not while asleep. And in that case, this is another sign that, like, you put those wishes out there and they are coming true. That's what you're working towards. It's worth it. Don't give up. Like, I feel like as I got closer to achieving things that I wanted to achieve, it was like the road got a little bit rougher right before I got there each time. You know what I mean? It was like I could have given up and I would have missed out. You know, just by not taking the extra step, I could have missed out on so much. So every time, like, I have tears when I'm saying that, because I'm just so in gratitude for my resilience and perseverance. So I'm just trying to, like, portray that I believe it's very true that this is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Lighten up. Yeah, you've been in battle, you know, so to speak, right? So it feels heavy. You don't have to carry it with you. You're revisiting it so that you can let go of it after you've mined all the nuggets of wisdom. And you don't carry it as a memory that you revisit all the time so that you don't live it again. You carry it as an integrated wisdom, meaning I learned, I know, I understand all the aspects that I needed to know from that situation. And if you haven't yet, if you're not sure, consult into your heart. Ask your heart. Ask and you shall receive. You will be told or shown. You'll be brought to a memory or a thought or a feeling that needs more exploration from you. But other than that, just lighten up. Like you can be in joy and gratitude that is over. Let's celebrate how far you've come. Let's get the answer to your question now. And the answer is no. So you can apply that to whatever question you had. We've got catfish. Interesting. Catfish is a term that refers to someone who is pretending to be something they're not. They're misleading. And I feel like that is probably one of the cards that could have come out earlier in the reading when we were talking about your past. So, but in this context, where it is now, I want to say, like, you can't be catfished when you have an open heart. Okay? You are the love that you experience, and you are the love that you give. Even if you gave love to somebody who is wearing a mask and pretending to be something they're not, you got to be the one who experienced the giving of that love. You were the love. That's how you be love. Even people who are doing that deserve love, preferably their own. If we are giving from a pure place, we don't drain ourselves when we give. We give from our overflowing cup. Okay, so that's what you've learned. You will not be fooled by others who are not who they say they are at this point any longer, because of what you've been through, but also because you've opened your heart. And when your heart is open, you very, very much see other people's weakness or shadow. You don't use it against them or anything, because your heart's open. You have love and compassion for anyone who might find themselves not understanding in a moment, right? That's all it is to you. Like, what you'd see, instead of someone who is a threat to you because they're a liar, is you'd see someone who's struggling with themselves because they can't come to terms with their own truth. It's absolutely no threat to you anymore at this stage, once you've opened your heart and let go of the burdens of the past, okay? And now we've got other people's money, and we had giving and receiving. Interesting. So I think you'll find that you may be more trusted in, right? Like, if you're surrounded by people who are kind of like liars and thieves and manipulators and stuff like that, like, people on some level sense shadiness, even if they're not open-hearted, even if they're not fully awake and aware, even if they've never, like, even before I woke up to narcissists, I knew something wasn't right. You know what I mean? like I didn't have to know what it was to know something was off. And I think now, clearing that kind of energy from your field, whether it was just a judgment against it, whether you were it, or you were just surrounded by it, this allows you to get into more balanced giving and receiving, and be more trustworthy of other people's money. And people will be more trusting of you to hire you in their business, or to collaborate with you, or team up with you, or whatever it may be. Things are just going to open up for you in that area, because money represents energy, and now your energy is flowing much more freely. And then we have this victory card. So it's like, don't give up, victory. Like, you are headed there. You can't get it wrong. Take your time, and it will be more pleasant for you as you go. Okay. That is beautiful. Pick 2. So remember, this is just information to reflect on, and it is meant to be helpful, so only take what is helpful to you. Thank you for being here, and perhaps I'll see you in a future reading. Bye now. Pick 2, if you're still here. I forgot to do the Astro Dice, so I'm just going to do those real quick for anyone who's stuck around. Must be Uranus. This is going to change your beliefs on a higher level, how you relate to other people, what you think about other people. And I think something in your career will be affected as well. Maybe there's something you have to offer about how to deal with people who are in that place. It's like your beliefs don't coincide with others around you. You're uprooting their foundation. They don't love it. But I think you're doing it in a very caring way, being as gentle as possible, just like you have been with yourself, and communicating in a way where, yes, they can see that it's something different. Yes, they can see that they feel uncomfortable, But they can't deny that the way that you're coming at them makes sense, is gentle, is pleasant. You know, it's like you're a tool of God in a way, like just like a comfort to the weary. So just some information to keep in mind if you feel like that resonates for you, something to reflect on. Okay, now we're really done. Bye now. Hello, Pick 3. So it has been 3 days that I've been recording this pick a card reading or pick a reflection reading. I have kind of just let myself sneak it in a little bit at a leisurely pace each day because I've been really busy otherwise. And I really love this way of doing it. So I'm actually recording this the day after the eclipse. The eclipse actually took place this morning at about 4:38 a.m. on the east coast of the United States, anyway, where I am. So I'm recording this day of or day after the eclipse, but this reading is about that. Either way, that energy will still be active, okay? So I'm going to start with the Astro Dice. In this bag I've got with the Astro Dice in it. Let's get some insights for you. You chose the orange beeswax candle, which I'm not burning for the reading. I'm just using it as a marker. You can actually see my breath in my house right now. I have a heating blanket wrapped around me. And I had to thaw myself out a little before I could do this reading. Let me know what the weather is like where you are. So, expressing care to someone who's kind of opposite of you. You might be faced with building a bridge between you and someone else. Finding the things that you do have in common rather than looking at the things that you don't. Okay, something like that. Let's put those over here. You or the other person could be a Cancer, but it doesn't have to be. I have some oracle cards already dealt out. They've been sitting here for 2 days, so they might even be gathering a little dust by now, but I'm going to start with the Astrology Oracle, which is safely in its box. Haven't seen it, this is the box for the oracle. I'm just reaching my hand in and I'll see what comes out. What should we talk about for pick number 3? What's most relevant and helpful for them to reflect on during this time of the full moon eclipse? Even if you found this reading at a different time, it would still be relevant to you at the time, so. I dropped a couple on the floor. The ones that I dropped on the floor were fullness and longing, so maybe you had been longing to connect with somebody and you really didn't see it at first. It was just like, first there was something little and then it grew. It grew and you couldn't stop it. Could be someone in your hometown that you enjoy spending time with. Maybe whereas you saw how this person was not compatible or like you before, now you see how they are. Something like that. Let's see. Is that the topic that we're focusing on, or is that just something that is relevant to them so that they know this reading's for them? Okay. This is not now. Maybe it just wasn't time before, and maybe this is a friend. Someone that you do love as a like a brotherly way. Someone that you've been offered assistance to. Maybe you could be working on manifesting somebody into your life that you don't even know, right? That you want to be more compatible with. And maybe you didn't even know that's something you really wanted until you became aware of it, you know? So this doesn't have to be a specific person, okay? You're just totally getting a different view about what you actually want in your life. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. You're kind of, you've gained wisdom on, I think, insights into your own self and what is really going to fulfill you. And I think you're certainly able to, with that information, help yourself get what you need, what is going to nourish you. I'm going to move these over to the side here just so they don't get buried too deep in case we need to reference them again. For memory's sake, let's see what the tarot cards have to say first. You have the Four of Wands in reverse. So it seems like you are single. If you are in a relationship, maybe there's some stagnancy in it. Maybe you've just been playing the field or dating around or just spending time with friends, enjoying life in that way. Yeah, and you've realized that you really do want fulfillment. You're totally ready to step into something new with somebody based on this, like, little inkling or longing that you started to pay attention to that came from within you. So these cards are holographic. I realize that it might be difficult to see them, but I wonder if it'll be better if I take the light off here. Not really. I don't think that light's doing very much. We'll just shut it off for now. Okay, what else do we have here? So, who is this? The Emperor? The Chariot. Yeah, you're ready to take action towards what this is you want. But I don't think you know how or what to do or, like, you know? This is just kind of like you're working towards it, but you're not there yet, you know? But you're taking steps that lead towards it for sure. And you know what it is that you are missing. Wow. And I don't think you're lacking in any way. Like, I think that you feel, like, fulfilled overall. I think it's just that, like, you know that this next part of your life will be more fulfilling when you add this other, I think it's a relationship in, or another level in your relationship, perhaps. Yeah, it could be where you decide to settle down into a relationship that you already have been in a lighter manner, or pursue someone that you've been friends with on a deeper level. Archangel Michael card says energy healing work. So there may be some things in your energetic body to clear out, which that come to your attention through the process of taking the steps towards this thing that you want, right? It's like, oh, I think it's time for me to kind of settle down. Well, what is this in me that's, like, rebelling against it? Or, oh, I think I kind of like that person. What is it in me that's making me not want to just ask them out to tea or coffee or dinner to see if we are compatible, to see if we click or whatever, you know? Oh, I want to meet somebody, but what is it about me that's not letting me leave the house so that I can meet people? Or, you know, whatever it may be for you, the situation will reveal to you any place that you need to work on things. Now, the sculpture that I've been using in my readings in the last few days is the violet flame sculpture. I made this to represent the violet flame energy that I use. And I highly recommend looking into that if it sounds like something that's interesting and relevant to you, because that could very much help you clear any blockages that you have, okay? If there's something that was neglected in the emotional body for a long period of time, it could be manifesting as a physical ailment at this time. And in that case, violet flame is very powerful for those type things. You know, maybe you were in denial of this particular longing for a long time. Like maybe you just decided to like write it off, to say, oh, you know, no one fits with me, or I'm just too hard to get along with, or I'm too picky, or it just never works out, or what's the point, it always ends in misery, you know, whatever it was. I think you had to kind of give up that to make way for this feeling that was bubbling within you, this longing. And then it's like you're just in the state of either already surrendering to it or realizing you must surrender to it. Because it's where your heart is leading you. And your heart is going to have a say at this time, right? You also may be very good at imagining what it is you want. Like it may be, once you surrender to this, it may be pretty easy for you to kind of go there with your imagination, which is one of the key pieces of the ingredients or the recipe when it comes to manifesting what you want. So you're letting the universe know what it is you want. So you're using your imagination to do so. Very important. We've got Palladian sisters. So there's certainly a bigger level of awareness and a beautiful heart-based way of taking action in the world that's available to you as you open yourself to it more and more. If you're familiar with the Palladian energy, then this might just resonate with you as something that you know about yourself, to be, you know, having lived lifetimes or originating from there. Palladian sisters. There's also a constellation that kind of represents the Palladian energy. So that might be something that's familiar to you. When this comes out in the reading, it just tells me you are here as a heart-based, kind, loving soul who will absolutely achieve everything that you're meant to. And focus on the positive is something that you are well adept at doing. So you're not going to be like telling yourself stories of like poor me or never works out anymore. I think you've surrendered anything like that you may have identified as a hindrance in your process of living happily. Like it could have been something that you were just doing because other people taught it to you. Your parents were like that, you know. It was how you could fit in, as if everyone around you is complaining, you just like go, oh yeah, that sucks, you know, right along with them just to fit in a way. But like, I think you've kind of let go of that, realizing that's not even who you are, and you have such powerful manifestation abilities that why would you waste it on that? Let's see. So this is like, you're in the gestation period of this manifestation and bringing these changes about in your life. So just like when a woman is pregnant with a baby, we don't say, hurry up, baby. Hey. You've been in there 3 months. It's time to get out of there. No. Even when it has been 9 months, we let the baby take their time, you know, and we let nature take its course, and we understand that this is a process of growth and development that has to happen, that's vital to the next part. We don't want to take the baby out of the mother when its lungs haven't developed, and then it would not be able to function on the outside. So when you're going into a situation that's new to you. You're developing all the skills that you need to function in it on the way to lining up with it. Okay. But in the meantime, I think you're definitely still enjoying life, sharing, gathering, loving, sharing happiness with others. So it's interesting because we've got this, we started out with the astro dice talking about an opposition with somebody else, or and this is you are my mirror, and then we talked about how you started to see more about how you were alike than different. And so I do think maybe you watched one of my readings, or you came across the information about the 7 Essene mirrors, or maybe you just understood that what you saw in this other person was actually in you too. All of this change could also be spurred or spurred by or spur a new career for you. And then we've got birthday, and we have that like pregnancy in reverse, meaning gestation. So this card, you may have a birthday coming up, but also a significant birthday, could be between you or the other person coming up. And the other thing is that birthday is birthing something, so it's like there will be a celebration, not only with you, but like with you that you will share with others for this coming together, for this achievement of what it is that you wish for, this 10 of Cups, this fulfillment of all things. It is requiring you to break free from anything that was holding you back from it. And then the process of doing so, the process of breaking free from all the things that hold you back from it, is the process of getting yourself ready for it. And I think you are very well aware of the need to keep your resources up. So, good food, rest, hydration, letting yourself be around people who you enjoy, who are healthy, learning about your strengths and your weaknesses and your values, and really just giving yourself what you need, knowing where to go to get it. This reading is about a solid union, and this union is happening within yourself, between the balance of anything, that was out of balance before, so that when you come to build with another person, you are on a solid foundation to build on. Anything that's been repeating in a cycle is your indication of what's keeping you from that balance, right? It's like those are the things you're creating balance in so that you can escape them, so that you will be prepared and know what you need to know to be stable in the union of growth, of because like anything that's going to be solid now, it's got to be in the status of growth. It can't be stagnant, So it's not like you're going to fall into like a marriage where you're going to repeat the same eat, sleep, go to work, do the chores, have dinner together, sleep, get up, go to work, do the chores, have dinner together, sleep. You're not going to just live a life like that. Like, that's not what this time on Earth is about. That's not why the Palladian sisters came to Earth, We're talking about an evolution of humanity, and you're here as part of it. So what you're doing here is building yourself and as an example of someone who lives in a relationship that is humanitarian, that is forward moving, that is growing, that is an entity of its own, and is free to roam. Interesting. Unrequited love came in reverse, so we did see that previously, where you saw yourself either not a candidate or this other person not a candidate. You saw a difference, you saw incompatibility before, and now this has kind of turned on you. Interesting. Maybe what you were seeing before was messy closets. Like, maybe you could see shadows, your own, like, because you could only see through the lens of your own shadow. So once you clear enough of your shadow, that's why things look different. And maybe you were seeing in the other what existed in you, it was your mirror. And then when you cleaned it up in yourself, you didn't see it in them anymore. And then you saw more compatibility. So things changed, and you see how you learn through the process of discovering yourself. You learn who you really are, and then you learn what you're really compatible with and what you really want. You start listening to your heart. Maybe you found acceptance for messy closets, or acceptance for certain traits that you didn't before, because instead of knowing that they were in you, you saw them in someone else and judged them. And then when you were able to discover they were in you and stop judging them, you didn't have to judge it in them anymore either. Okay? That's why these mirrors are so important to us on our journey. Right? Because look at that, just knowing that there was a mirror there for you allowed you to clear something up and then reveal to you that this was someone you could actually love, or that there would exist someone that you could actually love, or that you were lovable, or that it was worth it. You know what I mean? That what your heart wants matters. What is in front of me? This is the advice card. So it's just like, we talked about how this is a process. It's like a step-by-step process. Well, like even when the baby is growing in the womb, it doesn't grow everything all at once. One thing develops at a time, basically. And it's the thing that's the appropriate timing determines what's developing, right? So like, this is unfolding for you as it's meant to, and what's revealed to you is the thing that you're working on in yourself at that time. So it's like, just look at what's in front of you instead of looking at the whole, everything that you have to do. It's like when I decide to downsize my belongings again, and I look at like the whole two rooms of storage that I have, and I'm like, oh, this is too much. But if I just start on one corner, that's in front of me, then it's like, oh yes, I'm making progress. Ah yes, look at how much, look how much more room there is for me to work in. And like, it's like I started at the right spot, so that it kind of gets easier and easier as I go. And it wasn't as much pressure, and I didn't have to like be overwhelmed by the process of it. And also, it's really encouraging that celebration where you are taking time with friends and loved ones and letting yourself enjoy life all along the way. It's like there's no punishment here for not being ready, already. It's like the whole process of getting ready and unfolding it and realizing all of this is a fun process too. Is a thing worthy of celebration too. Okay. Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of joy here. There's a lot of like, woo, like I feel like there'll be a wedding in your future. I feel like you are like broken free to a new level that is so beautiful, because it's like inclusive. It's not like compartmentalized where you're like saying this is okay, this isn't. It's like you really set yourself free from some previous boxes that you may have been stuck in, or ways of coping with life, or ways of seeing life. And you started to realize like, this is your creation and you have control over it. And you have control even in the places where you hadn't taken control yet. Even when you succumbed to your past experiences, instead of following them through as lessons, you could pick those lessons back up when they're in front of you again and follow through with them now that you're ready. What a beautiful, beautiful thing that you're doing here on Earth, this thing called life, right? All right, so remember this is just information to reflect on, and it's meant to be helpful. So just take what's helpful for you and leave the rest for someone else. I appreciate you being here. Pick 3, and perhaps I'll see you in a future reading. Bye now. Hello, pick 4. You chose the blue beeswax candle. Let's do some reflecting on whatever the full moon lunar eclipse has to offer you. Moon in Taurus. That's what we're talking about, right? So that full moon eclipse happened in Taurus. That's what this is saying right here. So it really did have a strong effect on you. And maybe showed you what it is that you're working on to move towards your life's purpose or your destiny. It's like something was highlighted, perhaps in the way that you relate. What the heck is that? Something was... No, this is... I don't think this is the part of fortune, but it could be. Must be. Okay. There's a turning point for you. There's a turning point for you. This full moon lunar eclipse presents a turning point for you. Okay? Let's take a look at the astrology oracle. Okay, sorry about that sun peeking in there. We'll try to... We'll just deal with it, okay? Might be difficulty in communicating at this time, or just kind of feeling like you want to keep to yourself and process things. Maybe feeling pressured to communicate, maybe feeling rejected, maybe realizing that the efforts and love you put towards someone else was not returned to you, that you blindly led yourself into a situation that wasn't meant to be. That's why it's a turning point, because maybe you finally come to terms with this, or maybe you've been coming to terms with this for a long time, but it like finally like culminates in an ending where whatever desire you had is kind of worn out and you're ready to withdraw from the situation. But you know you're going into the unknown. This was the time to do it. You've become quite wise through this situation that you were in. Maybe it's caused you to commit to yourself and your needs and the way that you need to operate in order to flourish in life. You're ready to leave that behind, and it's like what you thought was your destiny. See how this destiny got so worn that this ticket broke. So it's just got stinny there. And so what you thought you were committed to is not what you're going to be going towards. That's why we got that turning point in your destiny or your life's purpose. You're seeing things from a different perspective now that you couldn't see before. It had to get really loud for you to see it. And something was either communicated to you or you just realized it. But it inspired you to something else. Like maybe there's still a mourning process, but I think you were able to pick your crown back up and put it back on. and just rebuild from a more solid foundation, and with the growth mindset, meaning like, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to take my gold nuggets of wisdom with me, and I'm going to act in ways that are in my own best interest with the wisdom I've gained from this difficult situation where it felt like my love was not returned. And this could be in several relationships, or this could be in one particular relationship. It could be just with the way you surrounded yourself with people who couldn't reciprocate. Maybe you had found yourself a generous giver and realized that it was difficult for you to receive. I'm going to move these aside as we move on to the tarot and oracle cards that have been pre-dealt a couple days ago for this reading. I've been taking my time doing each pile of this reading, and that's been working very well for me. So you may find that doing things a different way is going to just make your life a lot easier and more pleasant and less pressure and less like wearing you out, you know? That's how I feel doing the readings this different way. King of Swords, there was some direct communication or some intellect that something that kind of clicked in, and you were like, oh. And you realized that what you had been carrying was a burden, and you were doing it by yourself. Maybe you were carrying the whole burden of a relationship or all the relationships in your life, and you realized you were going it alone anyway, and that the love that you were expressing was yours anyway, and that you could just turn it in on yourself. But I think this did take a lot out of you, you know? And maybe you all along felt like something's off here, something's not right, we've got to fix this. Maybe you were very resilient for a long time, and now you're realizing that that strength and resilience has to be turned inward, that you have to focus on you and what's in your own best interest at this point, because you've kind of, maybe you got drained completely by the situation you were pouring into, and now it's like, all right, this is something where I'm gonna have to like stop investing, because it's literally just me pouring my own cup out. And I don't know if you like got a reading and it told you, or if you did your own reading, or if somebody had a conversation with you, or you just saw it from a different perspective. But whatever it was, it came through some sort of communication or realization that you decided to change how you operate based on the new information or realization that you had. But also at the same time, it was like you had to wear out your want for it, you know? Like your want for it died at this point, I believe. And maybe it was hard to let it die. Maybe it was like it was so strong. That want was so strong, and you didn't know how to give up on it. But now you're able to refocus that kind of drive and energy and resilience toward yourself. So the Archangel Michael card says, lean on God and the angels for support. So it's saying, like, give this to God, and, you know, there'll be miracles for you and everyone involved. And a miracle is just something like the outcome will be better than you expect. And I don't want to like rekindle any desire that you finally let die out by saying that. It just means that you'll fully recover within yourself. You know, you're not going to feel like there's an empty part of you, or that you're going on without everything you wanted or needed in life. You've got let go with love. Like, it's going to be okay. You can love your, you know, you obviously had unrequited love situation here, so it's like, what? Why am I thinking there was? Oh, because Clytia was unrequited love. Unrequited love situation. So it's kind of like you are the love that you gave. So it's like you are letting go with love. You're not letting go with malice or resentment and if you have those things, those will be the things that you work through to get your gold nuggets out of the situation. Because those would be heavy baggage to carry, whereas you can walk away light as a feather if you let go with love, meaning love all the parts of you that had a way to feel in this situation, whether it be distraught, disappointed, sad, angry, let down, misled, whatever it may be. You may find some relief with dance, moving your body a lot, getting your body into the mode of releasing as well. Jumping jacks, a rebounder, dance, any of these things could help your body kind of shed the energy as well. Yeah, your awareness shifted in such a way that the biggest picture view was revealed to you, and it just didn't make sense anymore to keep going back to that place when there's so many other options that are more in line with what you deserve and who you are. So this release, this new timeline that you've stepped into, is a place where you're able to continue just living your bliss. You know, maybe you wanted to bring somebody else into the mix on your bliss, but either way, even if they're not coming, you still get to live your bliss. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you knew you had a lot to offer, you know, and you didn't maybe expect that it would be rejected, right? Because it's so beautiful in your eyes and for the experience you're having. It's like you want to share it with somebody, but it's like maybe now you've shifted into this place where you can see that it's just as enjoyable without someone specific to share it with, right? Like there's plenty of other people. You're not necessarily needing to be fulfilled by one person. And also, like within yourself, you can be at the place where both things can exist, that there's this potential to share with somebody, but also a fulfillment in being with yourself in that beautiful celebration of life. So really, this situation, releasing it, allows you to move towards victory. Because if there was another person involved in the other situation, it's like you don't have control over another person. Once you release that person from this equation, now you achieve victory. Because now the universe can bring in someone who can match you. And because it's not somebody specific necessarily, it's somebody that's more in line with who you are, right? And this victory is not necessarily based on a relationship, but the way that you relate with people is changed in this victory. Like what you've learned it so deeply that it's part of you now. You've integrated, and you're not gonna like fall back into old ways. You passed this this test, so-called test. Wow, here's more energy about dancing, party, front row, flashy. So it's like you're free to be who you are, express how you are, really let yourself more loose, right? We had limitless awareness and let go. And this means let go of control over your own desires to be socially normal or anything like that, you know? It's like this may have opened you to a whole nother side of yourself where you value less trying to be something certain for someone or fit a certain mold or fit in with a group of people or with a person, you know, or be what a person wanted you to be or wants in their life. Like the gift is your freedom. The gift is to enjoy life on the basis of who you are, just you, like, but also like letting go of that is allowing what your desires to be within reach. And you see this girl is playing music, she's playing the flute, and she's in the receptive mode, meaning she can receive what it is meant for her now that she has let go. It can just come to her, right? We've got environmental awareness. Your awareness has expanded, and now you may be finding yourself with your third eye open and much more aware of your surroundings, what energies are there, how you affect the room, how the room affects you, how your thoughts are manifesting, and how your beliefs can be changed to suit the lifestyle that you want, how easily you can alchemize things. I think that this big awareness also shows you the importance of your focus. Like, you know that, like, what you focus on is what you get more of. So it's like you could be aware of everything in the room, which is the full range of things, but what you focus on is what you get more of. So you focus on the things that are blissful for you, that are enjoyable for you. You know, you make it a celebration of life. This awareness doesn't have to bog you down and be a burden. I think that you are very discerning. This experience has helped you be sure to look beyond immediate appearances. So maybe on the surface of things it seemed like that was a good direction, and it was because it taught you what you needed to know. But now you know that sometimes we're brought in a direction or urged in a direction by our own soul because there's something there we need to know. It doesn't necessarily mean it's our happily ever after story that, we were sold on the idea of. Now you're much more discerning now, that you know that there's more to these adventures that you're going on in some cases. You know where your boundaries are. You know what you are wanting to accept in your life and where you have to stop your giving in order to replenish yourself. And you care about that for yourself. And maybe you were very self-sacrificing in a lot of ways, or just not paying attention to your own needs and your own need for certain resources because your focus was on being for the other or loving the other, active in the act of loving the other. And so this change, you'll notice, lines you up with people who are also willing to love you when you love you. And some advice cards that are coming through for your reading is first house, paying attention to yourself, and growth mindset again. So you've adopted this growth mindset through the process. Now the growth mindset means when you face a challenge, you can deal with the emotion that comes up with that, whether it be frustration, disappointment, anger, whatever, fear. That can be present, but you're the one who is present with it. You know it as a human emotion, but you also know that there is a solution to every challenge you face. So while you remain present with any emotion that arises, you also let yourself move through to the understanding that there is a solution, and you remain open to it. So this is a suggestion that you continue on with that and maybe even make that your focus whenever a challenge does arise. And that this become, part of who you are, is just this kind of like growth machine. It's like, what could possibly hold you back now? You know what I mean? Like, you got the gift of understanding how to move through very difficult situations where you see what could hold a person back. You see that it could be with their own desire and their own heart that could lead them into something, and it could still be a lesson. So as long as you're facing that lesson with a growth mindset, you make it through. You don't like throw in the towel, give up, and remain heartbroken forever and let it taint the way that you deal with other people in the future, meaning not being willing to invest in them. Instead, you understand that you've learned something valuable, and you take yourself in celebration of that lesson and the wisdom you've gained into the new experiences to see what else, to see, well, what happens now that I know this, now that I'm aware of this, now that I'm focused on this, you know? So you really were brought into like an upgrade of your life through a situation that may have been, painful at times and disappointing and all of that. But I think you'll find as you continue on in this direction that it is so much more fulfilling to be in this perspective that you now have, and that you won't be always longing for something you don't have, because you'll just be in such celebration of what you do have. And that is the magnetism that allows more to come to you in your life, right? Because it eliminates the resistance, because you're no longer looking at the lack of something. If we notice the not having of something, then that's the vibration we're in. If we're in celebration, even if it's not on the topic of the thing that we wanted, if we're in celebration, then we're in that vibration, and then like attracts like. Okay? Well, really beautiful, pick 4. Thank you. I'm actually really happy this is the reading that closed out the readings. I really enjoyed reading this one, and it has been an honor. Remember, it's just information to reflect on, so it's meant to be helpful. Just take what's helpful to you and leave the rest. I appreciate you being here, and perhaps I'll see you in a future reading.